Hallelujah. Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. I got something very important I want to discuss, and I think I need to discuss as the head of Straightway Truth Ministry, a little small organization, what people call it today. I've learned a lot over the years, and I want to do what I can to help upcoming leaders and upcoming ministries as best as I can to try to thwart off and head off the devil, because it's inevitable that the devil is going to show out some way, somehow. And people have to understand the devil is not some fictitious being. He is a disembodied person. He's a spirit, and he operates through people. And a lot of times, we're kind of slow and reluctant to actually admit that the devil is operating through people, and even though there's telltale signs. But today what I want to do is expose some diabolical ways that the enemy operates. And you have to understand the enemy wants you to lose heart. Anything that you start off in good faith, he wants you to lose heart. He wants you to throw in the towel. He wants to keep up the pressure and do everything that he can to make sure that you have some type of excuse or some type of offense for you not to continue on in the way and going on to the way of perfection. But today I'm going to expose a couple of diabolical ways that other leaders in ministry use in order to take advantage or deceive the people. I had a couple of communities, one in Georgia, Straightway Georgia, and then the other one in Straightway Kentucky, East. I had a couple of leaders, and these were men at one time that I thought that I was somewhat close to, and I placed both of them in leadership positions. In Straightway Georgia, everybody knows the story. I purchased a double wide trailer, I purchased some land, and I moved some people into that place, all right? And I gave them the stewardship in that place. And I started, once people start contacting the ministry, things that I would do is, and this is the way the ministry runs, that if people call the number that's normally behind me, I will put them in contact into whatever geographical location, that they are close to. For instance, if we have a community in Wisconsin, so if you're in that area, I'll put you in contact with them. We have a community in Indiana. If you're in that area, I'll put you in contact with them. You have a community in Missouri. If you're in that area, I'll put you in contact with them. We have one in Alabama, two in Georgia, and we have quite a few in Tennessee. And if you're close to those geographical areas and locations, I'll put you in contact with them. And then we have some homesteads too, like at the DMV and Florida and quite a few other areas, Canada and England. Anytime you call the number behind me, I'll put you in contact with them. Well, I'm only speaking from the communities aspect, mainly used to be Straightway Georgia and then Straightway Kentucky East. So all these people come into contact with the leaders that I chose to put in the position of leadership because at that time they demonstrated character. Well, a lot of people don't understand about leadership, and this is another thing I will say. Leaders, if you've got people who that could be possibilities of leaders in leadership positions, you need to really sit down with them and give them the expectations and what it is, because you can't assume it. A lot of people, they will show humility and piety and make you think that they're, equipped and upcoming for the job, and then it could be nothing further from the truth. It takes a little time for it to develop. It takes a little time for it to come out because, you don't believe, and none of us want to believe that when you're born again. You don't want to believe that people are subject to ill will and malice and abuse of the saints, especially when you have a stewardship and then you put them in a position of a leader of a stewardship over that community, because we all have to give an account of our stewardship. Some people are not as serious as others. So what I would do is I've always said this all the way across the ministry, and this is how people can end up in bondage. I would say, listen, there's an open door policy to every leader, including myself. And if you got something going on, you don't think that, it's just not quite right, use it. Well, they would never do that. And mind you, I will often frequent these communities. And at times I walk to the brothers and sisters, I say, y'all got anything y'all want to discuss with me, anything? Nope, everything's fine, when everything really wasn't fine. And so the leaders, what they would do is they will say, well, Pastor Dow is coming, and if you got anything to say, you may want to discuss it with me right now, because you want to wait till he gets here to discuss it. You may not like the judgment that may come from it. And what it is that what they're doing is they're trying to intimidate the people through fear, to not mention some of the things and the failures of some portion of leadership traits, or if you want to call it that, let's say shortcomings that was going on in that particular community. And they would come up with creative ways like, hey, I think I'm missing the mark or something like that. Here's Pastor Dow's phone number. You can pick up and call him. But I'm telling you one thing, well, you better have your ducks in order, and you better make sure you're right, because, man, you're going to deal with the repercussions. What they were doing was massaging these people to fear. And in this, they were saying, look, I'm close to Pastor Dow. I know how he deals and stuff like this. And I'm telling you, what y'all got right now, man, it ain't too valid, but hey, you can go ahead and do it if you want to. See, what they did was they put a stumbling block in front of them, and try to paint me in a light or paint me in a picture that is really not me at all. And of course, I've been used to that. And most people I ask, why come, lately I just don't even revile back anything, because I want to make sure that when the Most High does his work, that I'm not interfering in it, because he does a real good job. I've got to follow, and I have followed my own advice like that. Lions does not concern themselves with the opinions of dogs, or I just don't, because there's no need in it. My life is not centered and focused around people who have fallen away and people who have deceived the hearts of the simple by good words and fair speeches. There's a lot of people that have reached out and let me know that they see what is going on. They've been fooled. I've been fooled once, and I'll never, ever, ever be fooled again. And I may bring some of these brothers on and let them give you their own experiences and stuff. But the one thing I've learned, that if you are a jackal, if you're some type of bandit, and if you're running dirty, the first thing you want to do is get out in front of the story, persuade and sway the minds of people as much as you can against the one who they ought to trust in. Get them to build up a negative connotation, a negative feeling, negative emotion, and even take on your offense. And then that way you can defile people as they go. And so that way, if I or anybody else says anything other than that, that's it. They're already topped off to the zenith with offense. And that's the one thing that Pastor Dow has always said this. And that goes with a lot of people on the internet that actually chooses to try to come out the straight way. They don't even know us. They don't even know me. Don't even know us, don't even know me. Bearing false witness is one of the commandments that people just flat out ignore, but the Most High is not ignoring. But nevertheless, there ain't a person out there, not one person on this earth can tell you what I have done negatively or wrong to them personally. They just went and took on somebody else's offense, and it's just crazy. But the book is true. The book is true because when you have people that, for instance, it's very tempting when you're in a leadership position and you're dealing with a lot of this money, all this money, and you're dealing with choices and decisions and stuff. Pride can easily come in upon you and make you think you're something when you're nothing. That's the reason why I would often frequent these communities and stuff, because I would go and see exactly what was going on. I could tell spiritually. And even when I opened up the door to actually speak to some of the people, and I would ask them, hey, you got anything? You got any concerns, anything like that? Oh, no. And I have to try to comprehend what kind of spell are the people under when you've got something you want to say, but you don't say it when you have the opportunity. I had one brother tell me I was an emasculated man. He told me this in Straightway, Georgia. I was an emasculated man and didn't even know it. And I said, I shook my head. I spoke with the brother after that, and now these brothers are strong. But a lot of people out there, man, they are diabolicals. They're deceivers. They're persuaders. They know how to persuade your mind and persuade your conscience in such a manner, in such a way, to make you think and to get you to think one way when it's really the other way. But again, if you're going to be a leader of an organization, my advice is this, is that you vet these leaders real close. And it would behoove you to do a background check. I never did do that. People do it on me all the time. And I had some people did a background check on me, and I said, so what did you find? Nothing. I mean, maybe something when you was a teenager, something about a parking ticket or something like that, which that should have been expunged. I don't even know what it was. If it was a parking ticket, something like that. But in other words, you can go look at my background. You ain't going to find nothing. There's nothing in there. But nevertheless, when you go watch a lot of these people, especially these people out here on social media and YouTube, and they got podcasts and stuff, oh, man, you wouldn't believe the type of character these people are who are talking to you. Am I saying that people can't change for the good? No, I'm not saying it. But I'm telling you this. If by their fruit you're going to know them, you got to first wait and see how long it takes for this tree to develop and fruit to grow on it before you can be a partaker of it. Because a lot of people have you to believe that they hung the moon. They've always done good and never did any sin whatsoever at all. And everybody else is the issue, trouble, and problem. And I often say if they keep pointing fingers at someone, then you know good and well they're hiding something. That's the whole ideal of accusing. You accuse others of the same things you're doing yourself to get the eyes and the fingers on them rather than watching you. But there are a lot of people that is just not honest and just not forthright and forthcoming. And mind you, I'm used to being lied upon. I get lied upon so much that the people who choose to even believe the lies won't even come and tell me. And again, I keep asking myself this question: what kind of spell are these people up under to where we're supposed to be brethren, supposed to be in the family of Yah, and yet we can't even speak to each other? It makes no sense to me. Nevertheless, that's where we are. So leaders, if you're going to put someone in leadership position, vet them, do your due diligence, because that's just the time we live in. Sorry, but I know we're Israel, but we still have got the residue of Gentilism, worldlinism, Americanism, and all these other shenanigans and wicked ways upon us. And most people sit back and study you to see how much or what they can get an advantage or gain on. And some people study them, look at you just to see exactly how you move. And mind you, anybody can twist and warp anything, but you just keep yourself in the love of Yah. And another thing I would give advice for is someone's going to be a leader. If you're considering people for leadership, see if they have been in any leadership whatsoever at all, so that they can understand what it really truly means. Because leadership is not all it cracked up to be. People who have never been in leadership, they're all about titles and positions and receiving honor of men. But they don't understand that a real true leader is the hardest working man in the building, the hardest working man on the community. Not only do they physically have to do labor and stuff, but they have the economic side, the logistics side, they have the planning side, they have the family side, they have the ministry out, like me, ministry outside of it. There's a lot going on nowadays, a whole lot going on nowadays that most people don't really truly comprehend and understand. But many of these so-called leaders that's running dirty, they try to intimidate the people to keep them from going up the ladder of the chain of command when they have a gripe or complaint. Because they want to insulate themselves and keep them in bondage and have everybody else thinking that everything is going fine. I remember one community used to say, well, if you see us, it's the same way the Straightway Tennessee operate, and it's just could be nothing further from the truth. Because the one thing about Straightway Tennessee, we're always advancing. We don't have a bunch of buildings out there that we've been building on the community for 3, 4, 5 years and they unfinished. No. What does the book say about how people would mock you? You began to do a work and then you couldn't finish it. What does that say? Y'all need to go and read that parable. Again, you're going to know people by their fruits. You know what I mean? I mean, people always talk about, oh, well, Pastor Dial ain't got no love. It's amazing. They accuse me of not having love. But then when you go watch all these people that show up for feast days, you see the people that call in on the broadcast and stuff, you see how the little children respond to me. I will let that be my testimony. You can pick and choose what you want to. But love is not just honey words dripping off the edge of your lips. No, if the book says love not in word, but in deed, that's what it says. There is something to do. Anything that is of the fruit of the Spirit is always something tangible that you can put your hands on. It always is. When you're talking about just love in general, love not in word, but in deed. Okay, so if you got a brother and you see him in need, and you shut up your bowels of compassion, and you don't supply to him with what you have of your own substance, how can you say that the love of Yah is dwelling within you? See, most people say, oh, brother, man, I tell you, man, I'm going to pray for you that the Most High Yah makes a way, and you call that love. No. Love is when you're sensitive to your brother's needs, and then you provide for that what he needs. The book says the joy, love, joy. This part of the second part of the fruit of the Spirit. The joy of Yah is my strength. Okay. What do you mean the joy of Yah is your strength? Okay. So if the joy of Yah is your strength, where does that joy come from? Because the majority of people, you say they claim they got the fruit of the Spirit, you don't hardly ever see any manifestations of joy. No physical manifestations of joy, which would show you that there's fruit there. You see, the way that the fruit of the Spirit works is that there's a tree, and a tree has a root system. And if the root is good, then the branches are going to be good. If the branches are good, then guess what? Then the fruit is going to be good. But there are trees out here that are dead. Dead is I don't know what, and there's no literal tangible fruit that you can pick off the tree and then eat it or ingest it yourself. Most people, just words. When you look into their lives, ask them to show you their faith. See, the book says, you show me your faith without works, I'll show you my faith by my works. And everybody wants to hide around being spiritual, and people don't comprehend what that means. They're not anointed, they're not spiritual, they're not any of this. But you are the ones that have to develop the eyes to see and the ears to hear, to know when you're dealing with an imposter. You're dealing with a jackal. You're dealing with an evil beast and a slow belly, somebody that feeds their own selves and not the flock of Yah. This is the determination you yourself is going to have to go to and come to. Well, anyway, I hope it says something to stimulate thought. I want y'all to be encouraged. Love y'all dearly, but I thought I'd just make this video because even in Israel, even in churches and stuff, while it's full of imperfected or people that are imperfect going on to perfection or trying to be as perfect as they can to go on to perfection, the sole reason, the purpose why we're there is because we all need help, every single one of us. And most people will say, well, I don't go to church because all of them hypocrites. And I know. I told a person one time that said that, I said, yeah, and if you came, there'll be one more hypocrite, wouldn't it? And they got mad at me. So nevertheless, they never said another word to me then, but it's just the truth. We're so quick to levy charges and judge everybody else and point the finger and stuff in order to get the finger off of us. But man, we are very, very slow to show righteousness and to show what we're actually doing, that to show that we actually have the real fruit of the Spirit working with us. Don't be deceived by good words and fair speeches, because a lot of people have you to think they hung the moon. Look into their life. See what type of fruit they produce over all these years. Ask them to show it to you. Something tangible. And you'll know them by their fruits. King coming.